My husband's ex-wife and daughter came back to inherit his family home after we made our wills, but we found out the worst in court. I have been married to my husband Michael for 45 years. We were both in our early 30s when we first met at the local art gallery 10 years ago. We both admired the same painting and started a conversation as if we had instantly connected. He asked me out on a date. As we got to know each other better, I felt like I had known him for a long time. I am the oldest of 3 children, and our family's financial situation was always tight, but we managed. We could only afford fast food on our birthdays. My father taught us early on to work hard and achieve our goals in life. I studied hard and managed to finish university on my own. I also did some modeling on the side, so when I graduated, I had no debt. I worked my way up in the company and am currently a junior assistant. Michael's background was completely different. His family was wealthier than ours, and his father had a good, well-paid, and secure job, so they never had to worry about money. Michael's parents were able to cover all of his university fees thanks to his father's influential position at the company. Michael got an internship there and then worked hard and dedicated himself to his work. Although Michael and I came from 2 different worlds, we shared a passion for art and music, which made us fall in love. Michael has a 17-year-old daughter from a previous marriage, Candace. From the beginning, she never liked me. She never seemed to warm up to me, and whenever we met, she refused to talk to me. It made me feel as if she thought I was responsible for her parents' separation, even though I met Michael long after his divorce from his first wife. After his divorce from his first wife, I understood how she felt and tried to give her space to come to terms with our relationship. Michael and his ex-wife Amelia had been married for only 3 years. They were college sweethearts, so they decided to get married, but everything went downhill after the wedding. She was a stay-at-home mom, while Michael worked hard to earn money. One day, Michael came home from a business trip earlier than planned and found her in bed with his best friend Tom. This was a very difficult moment for Michael because he lost the 2 most important people in his life on the same day. Amelia's betrayal broke his heart, and he painfully made the decision to divorce. The divorce proceedings between Michael and Amelia were very painful, mainly because Amelia was determined to retain ownership of their house, even though it belonged to Michael. The battle did not end with the ownership of the property alone, but also extended to the custody of Candace due to Amelia's infidelity during the marriage. In the end, the judge did not grant her ownership of the house, but awarded custody to both parents to ensure that Candace continued to maintain contact with both parents. Amelia's anger at not being able to obtain the property grew, and over the years she manipulated Candace's feelings to turn her against her father. Meanwhile, Michael chose not to reveal his ex-wife's infidelity to his daughter, trying to protect her from their painful past. I found out about it when we first started dating. Michael wanted to be honest with me about his past, and I was very grateful for that. Michael invited Candace to go on a trip to Africa with us, hoping that it would provide an opportunity for us to bond. I was optimistic that this could be a turning point in our relationship. Unfortunately, things didn't go as planned during the trip. Candace seemed annoyed with me, and if I got too close to Michael, she would suddenly explode and attack me with sarcastic comments like, "Gold digger." Michael would quickly warn her off, but she would just smirk at me, making it clear that she wasn't ready to let me into her life. I knew that he had a complicated relationship with his ex-wife and daughter, but our love for each other was strong, and I was willing to work through those challenges with him. After a short courtship, we got married. The wedding was intimate, just our closest friends and family. We were excited about the life we were about to create together. Despite the fact that we had sent out invitations, Amelia and Candace never attended our wedding. Our marriage initially went well. We traveled the world while continuing our careers. I was passionate about my career and had no intention of giving it up. Meanwhile, Amelia and Tom lived together after their divorce, and Candace had her own apartment with financial support from Michael and worked as the social media director for a well-known company. 3 years after we got married, we were blessed with a son. However, I suffered a lot during my pregnancy, and it got even worse whenever Candace visited. She would mercilessly comment on my weight and appearance in Michael's absence, saying that I would end up looking like a fat cow. This deeply disturbed me. When I expressed my concerns to Michael, he decided to stop Candace from coming to our house. They started meeting in cafes to avoid me continuing to feel miserable, so that I would not continue to feel pain. We were overjoyed to become parents when our son Nick was born. I was determined to continue working, so we decided to hire a nanny to look after him. I couldn't wait to return to work after my maternity leave ended, even though our lives were already stable and comfortable. I valued my financial independence and the ability to continue pursuing my career. If Candace had a problem with me before, it seemed that once Nick came into our lives, and sometimes when we had family over, she would take it out on Nick and try to bully him, which would make our son cry and seek our help, and I understood her hatred for me. I couldn't stand by and let her take out her anger on our innocent little son, Nick. I forbade her from ever setting foot in our home again, and we stopped having family events at home from then on. Now, as we grow older, we are beginning to focus on the issues at hand. John and I realized that it is important to plan for the future, and we decided to make a will to ensure that our affairs are in order. Since JN has already provided Candace with an apartment, he named my son and I as the heirs to the family home, and his remaining assets, including money and personal savings accounts, will go to Candace. Meanwhile, I have my own assets, which I plan to leave to my son to ensure that he is well taken care of for the rest of his life. We both felt that this was the best way to secure our family's future and raise Nick. When Amelia and Candace found out about our will, it all went to hell. I'm not sure if Michael mentioned it by accident or if his parents did, but they were very upset. Amelia called Michael and demanded that they should get the house because she had married him first, but he stood firm. He reiterated that he had always provided support for Candace, from child support to college fees to buying her an apartment. He told her that he would make sure that Candace's future was secure, but his decision to leave the property to our son seemed to make her even angrier. Amelia sent me a long text message in which she cursed me with all the dirty words in the book. I showed the message to Michael, who told me to stop arguing with her and block her immediately the next day. Candace appeared at our doorstep, obviously upset. I knew she was there to discuss the will with us, and I didn't want her to make a scene in front of our son, so I quickly arranged for my parents to pick him up, leaving just the three of us. Candace made her intentions clear, insisting that my son and I should give up the property because, despite her irritation, she felt she deserved it as Michael's eldest. I remained silent and watched as Michael handled the situation. He explained to Candace that he had always provided for her in every way she needed, and he assured her that he would leave her his savings and promised to safeguard Em and the son's future, because by marrying me and leaving us the family property, he had ensured our happiness. Candace once again turned the focus on me, insisting that I should do the right thing. I calmly expressed my support for my husband's decision, which seemed to anger her. She raised her voice and threatened to take me to court. Not wanting to make the situation worse, I asked her to leave us alone. Within a few weeks, I received a legal notice informing me that Candace and Amelia would be suing me for the return of the property. Their allegations included that I married Michael for his money and manipulated him into taking their family property. Michael and I consulted a lawyer who assured us that Candace and Amelia had no strong legal grounds to support their allegations. However, despite the legal advice, I could not shake the worry, especially as I did not want our son to experience the drama of this family dispute. As the court date approached, the atmosphere in our home grew increasingly tense. At the trial, Amelia's lawyer spared no effort in arguing that Michael must prioritize his first child, Candace. The focus of their arguments was to push for a full trial to determine ownership of the property, as we live in Colorado and the legal system requires us to have a jury trial, which only added to the complexity of the situation. The looming court trial was unsettling for both Michael and me, especially as Amelia's lawyer resorted to some dirty tactics, dredging up our past to justify his case in court. Our lawyers did their best, but there was no denying that it was a stressful time. Suddenly, we received a phone call from Tom, who insisted on seeing us at home. Since discovering Tom's relationship with Amelia, Michael had cut off all contact with his former best friend and did not want to see him. I persuaded him to hear Tom out, in case it could help us resolve the dispute more quickly. When Tom arrived at our house, we half expected to see each other's lawyer P come to sabotage our case. However, to our surprise, Tom came here for another purpose. He revealed that he was here to confess something that Michael would find hard to accept. Michael sat there motionless as Tom revealed that Amelia had been dating Michael behind his back for a long time, even before Amelia became pregnant. I held my breath as Tom continued to reveal the bombshell that none of us had expected. Apparently, when Amelia became pregnant, she confided in him that she believed the baby was actually his. However, as Michael was more financially stable, she chose to keep the truth hidden and continue the marriage. Tom implored her to reveal the child's biological father to Michael, but she had always refused to do so. I can't believe that Amelia was able to keep this secret for so long. She dared to fight over property, but kept this shocking secret from Michael. It's unbelievable that she was able to keep the secret for so many years while causing so much chaos in our family. Tom explained that the reason he had remained silent for so many years was because he believed that she truly loved him. However, after witnessing the pain we went through as a result of the court trial, he finally saw her true colors. He began to cry and begged Michael to forgive him. Michael was still in shock and sat there silently. I felt angry and frustrated, especially seeing the emotional turmoil my husband was going through. This man had believed for his entire life that Candace was his daughter, and now he was being told that it was all a lie. In the past, whenever Amelia and Candace were rude to me, I chose to remain silent because I wanted to maintain cordial relations with them. However, now that the truth had been revealed, there was no point in continuing to play dumb. I immediately contacted our lawyer and conveyed Tom's confession. Our lawyer told us that in order to state our claim in court, we would need to provide concrete evidence, such as a DNA test. So we decided to invite Candace over for dinner under the pretext of wanting to see her. Our plan was to quietly take one of her cups or spoons for testing, which would help strengthen our evidence. Although surprised, Candace agreed to come over, but she continued to behave rudely, continuing to belittle me and my son. She was convinced that she and her mother would win the lawsuit, and she mocked me, saying that I would soon lose everything. I chose to ignore her comments, hoping that this would be the last time I had to endure such behavior. As soon as she left, we contacted our lawyer and asked him to collect Candace's cup for a DNA test. In court, we learned that Tom's statement was true and that Candace was indeed his daughter. I let out a long sigh and couldn't help but feel sympathy for my husband, who had been dragged into this mess because of his ex-wife's lies and manipulations. I told my lawyer that I was prepared to go to court that day and tell our story in court. My lawyer agreed, as it was the best way to expose the truth. I stood in the witness box, my heart filled with mixed emotions, anger at Amelia's deception, compassion for Michael, and a determination to protect our family's rights. Standing before the jury, I summoned up the courage to begin answering the lawyer's questions. We discussed in depth my past and professional career, and the fact that I had not given up my job even after getting married. I went on to describe the years of taunts and abuse from Amelia and Candace. We showed screenshots as evidence of my story. I told the jury that Candace had never accepted my existence from the beginning and had even refused to attend our wedding. Because we had a son, she verbally abused him. Then I revealed Tom's confession. I talked about how we found out who Candace's real father was and about the dirty secret Amelia had been keeping from everyone. Candace looked at me in disbelief as I watched her whisper angrily to her lawyer. Our lawyer then showed everyone the results of the DNA test, which proved what I had just said. I looked at Amelia's face with satisfaction as she realized she could no longer escape the truth about her past. Candace, on the other hand, looked shocked, as if her world was collapsing, just as it had when we first heard the news. The emotions in the courtroom became intense, because everything had been made public and Amelia and Candace stood their ground. Emily looked defeated, while Candace, who had been so confident of victory, was now racked with guilt over the consequences of her mother's actions. Their lawyers had no reason to continue arguing. Fortunately, the jury reached a verdict quickly. The judge announced the verdict, and we were awarded the family home, just as Michael had always hoped. The jury recognized that Candace and Emily had no legal claim to it. Since the court ruling a few days ago, we have received mixed reactions from friends and family, although most people understand our situation and agree that we did the right thing. Some people seem to think it was cruel of us to reveal the truth and destroy Candace's life. So I'm turning to Reddit here to get your thoughts. Do you think that I was cruel to refuse to share our inheritance with my stepdaughter and ultimately reveal everything in court instead of telling her myself? Update 3 days have passed since my last update, and I have read all of your comments and suggestions. Many of you seem to think that Candace may have known about her mother's lies, which is impossible because I saw her face fall when we revealed the DNA test results in court. Winning the court case has relieved me of a heavy burden. I choose not to dwell on those who think we did something wrong. We didn't choose to be dragged to court by Amelia and Candace, we simply revealed the truth. I no longer need to worry about my future. I'm satisfied with the outcome. However, my biggest worry these days is my husband, Michael. He is still in a state of shock and unable to come to terms with the truth about Candace's father. He hasn't been able to eat or sleep well since he found out that she isn't his biological daughter. I can't imagine the pain he's going through as he comes to terms with this. Amelia put him through hell when they divorced. Now we know that Tom is the father, but he doesn't know how to handle the information. Not only did Tom sleep with his ex-wife, he is also the biological father of his first child. I suggested that Michael go for therapy because he needs to talk to a professional to help him get through this. I have already made an appointment for him, and he will start therapy next week. Update for next week. It has been a month since the last update, and we have somewhat recovered from this situation. As I mentioned before, my husband has been receiving regular therapy, and I can see that he is getting better, but it will take time for him to fully recover. Last week, Candace contacted us on her own initiative. To be honest, we didn't think she would still want to talk to us after everything that happened. She called to say that she was sorry for everything we had been through. I wasn't sure if her apology was genuine or if she was just feeling bad because of her mother's behavior, but I didn't pursue it. Candace said she had always been jealous of me and felt that I had stolen her father from her. She admitted to hating me, but I already knew that she felt that my father was the one who had betrayed my mother. However, during the court proceedings, the truth came out and it turned out that it was Amelia who had really cheated. Realizing that she had spent her whole life living a lie, she begged Michael not to leave her, and Michael assured her that no matter who her real father was, he would always be her father. It made her cry, as if she had always needed that confirmation. Candace also apologized to me for everything I had endured, and hoped that one day I would be able to forgive her. I don't want to pretend that everything is okay between us, because it's not, and it's going to take me some time before I can be in the same room as her. Lately, I've been focusing on our family and our son. I wasn't able to spend much time with him during the court trial, so I planned a secret family holiday in the hope of taking the opportunity to relax and recharge. If something interesting happens, I'll provide another update. 3 months later, with no contact, Amelia showed up at our doorstep. I hesitated to let her in, but I was worried about the neighbors hearing any possible argument, as she had done this before. We reluctantly let her in, but made it clear that if she did anything out of line, we would call the police. Amelia explained that Tom had decided to leave her and had asked her to move out of his house by the end of the month. She cried and said that after witnessing what had happened to Michael and me, he didn't want to marry her anymore. With nowhere else to go, she wanted to move in with Candace, despite Candace's strong opposition to the idea. We learned that Candace had cut off contact with her mother since the trial, accusing her of manipulating her. Amelia was here because she wanted us to talk to Candace, hoping we could convince her to let her mother move in. Before I could say anything, I witnessed my husband's first temper tantrum. He firmly told Amelia that he was only doing this for Candace's sake, and that whether she could live with her mother depended on Candace's decision. He expressed his frustration that after years of lying to him, she never once thought to apologize, and now she expects us to help her. He told her that he was glad Tom had seen the truth and was leaving her. Amelia tried to justify her lies by saying she was afraid of being thrown out of the house if she got pregnant. I couldn't listen to her excuses anymore if she was going to tell Michael the truth sooner or later, so I let her go. I felt we had already given her a chance to explain, and there was no point in continuing the discussion. After Amelia left, Michael contacted Candace to warn her that her mother might force her to let her daughter stay in the apartment. He stressed that if she allowed it, there would be no way to make Amelia leave. Candace assured him that she had no intention of allowing that to happen, that she planned to change the locks to keep Amelia out, and that she would let her mother know that she was not welcome. Mother, she is not welcome. As for me, I have had enough of this farce lately. I have been discussing with Michael selling our house and moving to another state to escape this mess. I have stressed that we need to seriously consider this move, albeit a difficult decision, for the sake of our son and our marriage. Michael has accepted, especially considering that Amelia's sudden visit has shown that given whether she will ever leave us, leaving the city seems like the best option. Michael's work can be done remotely, and I'm willing to start over at a new company if it means being away from these toxic people. We'll start selling our family home next month, and hopefully we can start over in a new place before the end of the year. It's time to turn the page on this chapter of our lives and start a new one.